French President Macron meeting Prime Minister Narendra Modi on the sidelines of the G20 Summit in Bali in Indonesia. We're getting in all details right now of the meeting. Remember, the Prime Minister is in Bali, and right now he's having a meeting with French President Emmanuel Macron.
ये जो रिश्तों की गर्माहट है, प्रगति की नई इबारत दोनों देशों के बीच इतर G20 सम्मेलन से जो द्विपक्षीय बैठक है, ये इसी ओर इशारा करती है। आज भी कई अन्य देशों के साथ G20 में के इतर बैठकें हैं और सबसे अहम जिस तरह से प्रधानमंत्री
Prime Minister meeting French President right now. In fact, this is a bilateral meeting, and we're getting in more details of what really is on the agenda. But the Prime Minister is holding a meeting with Emmanuel Macron right now, the French President, during the G20 Summit. Pictures coming in from Bali in Indonesia. This is a brief discussion which is underway in Indonesia right now. We'll be getting in more details of the bilateral between India and France. Also a similar bilateral between India and UK, where the Prime Minister will be meeting newly appointed British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak. Important from the point of view of India assuming the role of the chairman of the G20 up until November next year for a period of 1 year. Pictures of Prime Minister Narendra Modi holding a meeting with French President Emmanuel Macron. In fact, he is going to be holding a meeting with leaders of several other participating countries on the sidelines of the G20 Summit. And also, of course, review the progress in India's bilateral relations with each of these countries. Today is a meeting with Rishi Sunak as well, UK's Prime Minister. In fact, both of these leaders met yesterday as well, briefly talking about they're coordinating closely, reflecting on the bilateral relationship between both of the countries. The Prime Minister, apart from France, is all set to hold meetings with other leaders participating in the G20 Summit. This of course, is on the sidelines of the G20 Summit. Prime Minister Modi has already met US President Joe Biden as well. And of course, the bonhomie between Emmanuel Macron, French President, and Prime Minister Modi was on display even yesterday. Prime Minister Narendra Modi is meeting key leaders, reflecting on the bilaterals of India with several other countries. The focus of the G20 Summit is going to be, of course, on Ukraine, on climate change, on the COVID-19 pandemic, and on several other global issues concerning all of these countries. Yesterday, the Prime Minister had informal interactions with US President Joe Biden, UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak, French President Emmanuel Macron, and today is a formal bilateral with French President Emmanuel Macron. Geeta Mohan, our Foreign Affairs Editor, is in Bali getting us all of those details. Geeta, what will the bilaterals between India and France really be focusing on?
Well, like you rightly pointed out, Sneha, the topmost on everybody's agenda today is the Russia-Ukraine war, owing to the missile attacks on Polish soil. It seems like it has become more important now than ever before. But also the fact that all countries have to come together to decide and agree on the draft communique. For the communique to be adopted, the draft that has been proposed, India has proposed a few lines in it, which also includes Prime Minister Narendra Modi's statement, a speech from the SCO summit, where he said, "This is not an era of war." So the bilateral between President Macron and Prime Minister Narendra Modi will certainly focus on how to bring about peace, what needs to be done to ensure that the instability in the region is in the world is sort of contained. But on bilateral front, there is a lot that's happening between India and France, a lot of exciting things, particularly on the defense front. We're looking at Rafales that have already arrived in India, further defense cooperation between the two sides, the exercises that continue between the two sides, defense exercises, and cooperation on the strategic front, not just bilaterally but also globally. So a lot on the agenda when it comes to economic cooperation, trade ties between the two countries, how to fight COVID pandemics and health issues such as the COVID-19 pandemic, and the defense sector being a very big ticket item on the agenda when it comes to France and India.
But the other bilaterals, Geeta, of the Prime Minister, just take us through the details of the itinerary. There is a meeting with the newly appointed UK Prime Minister as well.
Well, that's right. There are quite a few, about 8 bilaterals between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and his counterparts from other countries. The first batch of bilaterals is going to take place now, and then the second bilateral will take place after the third working session on digital transformation, after which he'll hold some more bilaterals. The last bilateral, in fact, Neha, is with the Prime Minister of the UK, that's Rishi Sunak. This would be his first bilateral meeting with Prime Minister Modi after having taken office. We are also looking at bilaterals with the Australian Prime Minister, Spain, France, Germany, Italy.
Yes,
critical ones. There are 2 important bilateral, cannot say structured bilateral, but a pull aside that took place yesterday, which was with US and with China.